Friday, high temperature right around 90. I'm staff meteorologist Scott Kaplan, 1620 94.5 WTAW.
We visit with the mayors on Wednesday. Bobby Gutierrez here this morning from City of Bryan. How are you today?
I'm doing great. How are you, Scott?
Good. Kind of expand a little bit on our story that we had. Of course, you set your tax rate. This is a situation we're talking about. It's that time of year where everybody's having to deal with this. But I know there was some discussion, and people always like to think, hey, could we keep our tax rate where it is, or could we actually bring it down? And Bryan City Council has lowered the tax rate before. That's happened.
Yeah, we've lowered it. We've lowered it several different times. I mean, it's right now we're kind of an unexplored territory. We know we have the inflation that we have. We have the massive growth that we have coming, and we know that we have some major growth that's about to be announced and about to happen. So how do you balance? And I look at this purely as a business. I mean, how do you balance those budgets as a business, and you balance growth as well? So, we have the no new revenue rates that you can do that brings it back to what the valuations were last time. And then, of course, we have increased valuations, which technically mean a increase in taxes, but it's the same tax rate. It's not really changing anything. But where do you cut? Because remember, cities do two things, safety and services. Those are the two things we do. And 100%, and think about this, I tried to explain this the other day on council, 100% of our ad valorem tax, every property tax that's collected in Bryan, whether it be homesteads or retail or commercial or whatever that is, 100% of that does not even cover fire, the fire department and the PD. It doesn't cover that. So where are we going to cut at? So now we have to go into our sales tax. So when you add your sales tax to it, the two major revenue sources for a city is ad valorem tax and sales tax. So 85% of the total taxes collected go to pay, fire department and PD. I mean, so where do we cut? Unless we ask them to do the first cuts, but how do you retain the people? How do you keep the people here when we're growing too? So we're at the point where we're adding population all the time, which means we've got to add fire, we've got to add police, and we've been doing that at a steady rate to keep up with our safety. We got the fourth safest city award in the country, and for towns our size. So that's something that we need to be very proud of. But we've got to keep that up and going, and then it only leaves us 15% to run the rest of the budget that we have. And then still do quality of life service, because everybody complains about this or that. They want those little things that make a difference, but they've got to be paid for. So that little, if we hold it the same, which is where I'm really at, which I guess, if you have these people who are out there, well, that means he wants a tax increase. Well, that's not true. We're looking at a difference of a quarter of a cent or a tenth of a cent or half of a cent. And they, ultimately for you and for me as taxpayers, on ad valorem taxes, on our sales taxes, might mean a cup of coffee or 2 cups of coffee or 3 cups of coffee for us personally. But for the city, it's a big revenue source. And this means, can we hire the people? Can we add the new vehicle? Can we do this? There was some other stuff about our policemen are bougie. Social media posts, the policemen are bougie because they got the BMW motorcycles. Well, before that, they had the Kawasaki motorcycles, and they stopped making that motorcycle, so we couldn't get that. Then they went to the Honda motorcycle, and then they stopped making that police bike. So now we've gone on, and the two people that are making it right now are the BMW and the Harley Davidson. Those are the two that make these police bikes. And, we're leaving it to our experts to pick and choose what they want. From apparently what I understand is the BMW had more options for the accessories to do the job that they need to do. And these people are on those bikes all day long. So I'm not going to go out and pretend like I'm a motorcycle expert and say what I think is more bougie or what is not. They go and they buy these things on the buy board. They've got to be competitive. They look at everything, the cost versus cost, and what it actually does the job. And that's what they came out with.
So let's talk. One of the things to pull back some. So we understand the situation that we're in. You know that you've got some hard fixed things that need to be done. You've got capital improvement projects that need to be done, and that's hard to address all of those.
Sure.
Nobody can do that.
It's $1 billion basically.
When do we get to the situation where we have to start doing debt service on the things that have happened in Midtown Park? When does that kick in? And is that a concern?
Well, I don't think it's a concern because all that stuff is generating revenue right now, and it's covering all of its operating and maintenance costs. It's covering all of its costs right now. So you look at Legends, and you just take that, for instance, just that one thing, and we really wish we'd have built it bigger. It's done very, very well. It's outperformed all the projections that we've ever thought that we would have in that thing. So it's covering everything. So I think we're as a city are sitting very, very good. We do run a very tight budget, and we don't splurge on things. We just want to make sure that whatever those things we're doing, we're going to be able to pay in the future, because all these things are done. Now, the one project that everybody keeps talking about, the $10 billion deal, that's going to basically double our whole tax base. At that time, when that thing gets announced and can come online, then we can look at a lot of creative ways of that one company will allow us to be able to lower a lot of rates and do a lot of major things and still be able to keep up with everything that we have going on in the future.
Glenn Hager has said that the Texas is going to have to continue to build homes at a very rapid pace. A report that came out that we've seen. Now, I don't know how many people are going to be employed in, and whether this thing happens or not, you want to continue to have people move here. What is the city doing to make sure that home builders can build not workforce level homes, but homes that are worth $300,000 plus? Because that's the kind of growth I think the city of Bryan probably would like to see expand.
Yeah, and we've been incentivizing those homes that we need, that we were lacking in our marketplace. So we know what we have a whole lot of. We know what they've been building in our area, and we know what we've been lacking that they have to go to another area to buy. So we've been incentivizing those stuff that we haven't done. But I think the proof of whether or not we're pro-development is, we were 50 houses a year, 15 years ago, 18 years ago, when we first got on planning and zoning, and we're doing all these things. We're trying to figure out how do we open this thing back up again. And now we were up to 1,000 houses, permits a year. So, City of Bryan is doing everything they can to continue this growth, and we're growing at that rate because of that. So we're bringing on several new developments. I think, you ask the developers, and no one's ever going to be happy with every single thing, but we're not doing the tap fees. We're not doing all those extra fees, the add-on stuff. So it still keeps that house affordable here in Bryan, or more affordable than other places, I should say.
Well, report on Texas A&M and what its future is as far as growth is concerned. And basically they've said, we need to not grow anymore in College Station on this campus. What does that mean as far as you're concerned for the city of Bryan?
Well, I think, I had a lunch with the chancellor last week, had a meeting with the president this week, and how do we align ourselves with the city? I think the city of Bryan and Texas A&M, whether it be university, the university system, are very, very aligned. We talk all the time. We talk as much as we can. Very, very friendly relationship, and we trying to figure out where we can help them and where they can help us. Obviously we're RELIS is a big part of what's happening to the city of Bryan for our growth and future growth. So we don't want to see any of that stuff disrupted. We want to see that continue, that growth, and how can we help facilitate and do anything we can from the city, because, truth be told, you dream it up on RELIS, but City of Bryan, it usually ends up having to pay for the infrastructure to get it out there and get that thing and make that thing happen. So it's got to make dollars and cents for us as well. And the way it makes dollars and cents is by adding new retail, by adding new homes, by adding that whole corridor out there that's going to grow. And we have already planned developments that are going to be going to that area. So it's an exciting time. It's truly the most exciting time in the Bryan, and I can say in my history anyway.
Well, finally, again, the proximity to A&M's campus gets wider and wider now for the city of Bryan. Your city limits really abut to College Station, right next to Northgate, where there's a lot of growth. Another high-rise is going up there. But tell me the other places where students living in Bryan impact the way the city has to operate.
Well, I think there's all areas. We have that North and Northgate area that we just announced, the one they're calling DeBry, the high rises and all the stuff like that. We're looking at some developers. We're trying to find in a perfect world, I don't want to piecemeal that thing. I really want our council to hang tight and just say, hey, we want a master developer to come in and do a purpose-driven development, not just hodgepodge, and this is what we want. I mean, actually state what we want and make what we want to happen. I think it's a one chance you get, and to be there for the next 100 years, 150, 200 years, and make it just a really walkable, drivable, everything about it. Because as it ties into Hensel Park, as it ties into Century Square, whether it be with Midway or whether it be with anybody else who wants to come in and develop as the continuation of Century Square, I go back to, we still are truly one city. I mean, and that's right there is the dividing line. And, Enloe Street, you have a north and south Enloe, which I still think is kind of absurd, but you have a north and south Enloe. And, as we develop that area right there, I think that's going to be a point, but it's also very walkable to A&M. So we won't have that congestion that we think we're going to have with the cars.
What else you got for me this morning?
Well, I think, we had our first Third Friday, the Maroon and White Night. That was a tremendous success. The band was amazing. All the people that participated, it was a hot night. So we're ready for this next Third Friday to be the Maroon and White Night, to be a lot more comfortable. All the businesses I didn't get any complaints. I mean, normally that never happens when you're the mayor. You only hear the bad stuff. You don't hear the good stuff. I only heard good stuff this time. It was just a really nice time. It was a really fun time for us to go out and tell the people and all the professors, all the admin, all the staff and departments, thank you for doing and investing in Bryan and helping us become who we are there. We have the new signs on the Frisco building, for their IT and the HR department over there. So we're going to probably do a sign lighting ceremony with the president and the chancellor, and hopefully the board of regents will get down because they played a big part of this as well. And I think we just look for more continued good stuff to happen. We have First Friday is going to be coming up again, and then of course we have all the game day weekends that are going to be coming up too. So we'll be activating downtown for the game day weekends as well. So any Friday before the game, there'll be a lot of stuff to go on the Friday night before the game, and then during the game on the Saturday when they're going. Hopefully we'll have some things that program is set aside and put aside to implement everything we can do in downtown Bryan.
It's 3 days from now, right?
It is. It's 3 days. It's coming up, and it's always that exciting time of the year. But with that exciting time comes the tax time too. So that's never the fun time, but it's reality.
That's it. Bobby Gutierrez, the Mayor of Bryan. Thanks for the time this morning.
Absolutely. Thank you.
Man, every football season, I always feel like it should be me out there playing on